There was a version of me that I protected for too long. Not because he was strong, but because he was familiar. He knew how to survive in comfort. He knew how to delay change. He knew how to turn hesitation into routine. And that version of me wasn't loud. He didn't destroy anything. He just kept everything the same. And that's how most people stay stuck. Not through failure, but through repetition. The first real step wasn't changing. It was seeing. Seeing the patterns that were always there, but ignored. The small decisions that seemed harmless, but built an unchanged life. The moments where effort was possible, but avoided. The times where action was needed, but postponed. It wasn't one big mistake. It was 1,000 small agreements to stay the same. And once that becomes normal, change starts to feel unnatural. Then comes honesty. The kind that doesn't feel good. The kind that removes comfort from your thoughts. The lies start to sound familiar. Later will be better. Tomorrow will be easier. This isn't the right time. But none of them ever change anything. They just delay responsibility. And delay is one of the most silent forms of self-destruction. Because nothing feels like it's falling apart, while everything stays the same. Then comes a moment most people avoid. A question that doesn't allow escape. If nothing changed for years, would the outcome still be acceptable? And for most people, the answer is uncomfortable. Because deep down, there's awareness. Awareness that potential is not the issue. Consistency is. Discipline is. Follow-through is. Then something quieter appears. Not motivation, not inspiration, but truth. The kind that doesn't argue. It simply says, you already know what needs to change. The problem is not hearing it. The problem is acting on it. Because action requires discomfort. And discomfort is where most decisions collapse. So people wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait for the right moment. But readiness rarely comes first. Action does. Then comes understanding. Discipline is not built when it feels good. It's built when it doesn't. And it still happens anyway. The difference is not talent. It is response. What happens when resistance shows up? Whether it stops you or shapes you. Slowly, choices begin to shift. Not dramatically, not instantly, but consistently. Less negotiation with excuses. Less permission seeking from emotion. More movement without debate. And over time, the old version starts to weaken. Not because it was destroyed, but because it was no longer fed. Every avoided distraction weakens it. Every completed task replaces it. Every disciplined action makes it less familiar. And that is how identity shifts. Not through statements, but through repetition. At some point, the change becomes noticeable. Not because everything is perfect, but because excuses stop leading decisions. And there is a difference between trying to change and no longer being the kind of person who doesn't. But this process always comes with loss. Comfort is lost. Familiar patterns are lost. Old ways of coping are lost. And that loss feels like uncertainty at first, because what was once automatic is no longer available. That is where most people stop, not because they cannot continue, but because they are not willing to let go. They want growth without cost, but growth is cost. You cannot keep everything and still become something new. So eventually, a decision has to be made. Not emotional, not dramatic, just final. The version that depended on excuses cannot continue forward. The version that waited cannot lead anymore. The version that avoided discomfort cannot survive transformation. And letting go of that version is not hatred. It is direction. Because holding on to it means repeating it. And releasing it means something new can finally exist. The shift does not make life perfect. It does not remove struggle. But it changes control. Actions are no longer dictated by hesitation. They are dictated by intent. And slowly, a different identity forms. Not built on motivation, but on what is consistently done. And eventually, the old version becomes unrecognizable. Not because it was erased, but because it was outgrown. And that is where the truth settles. Change was never about becoming someone new. It was about refusing to remain the same.